Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, the podcast aimed to inspire you to find your voice and become the best, truest, and most authentic version of yourself. Spiritually intimate, soul-to-soul conversations, life-changing insights, and spiritual teaching and healing. Real, raw, unfiltered. Join your host, Tisha Michelle.
Welcome and welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul with me, Tisha Michelle, your host. Hello, everyone. All right, let's get into some gratitude. So in this present moment, I definitely would say that I'm grateful for relationships. So being someone who always really kept everyone at a distance because I gotta keep you over there because we get a little close or something happens, it's gonna be a problem and I'm gonna be feeling some type of way, right? Just this little defense up here, right? And when I say relationships, don't just mean romantic, friendships, partnerships, all that good stuff, just relationships. So I have some good, solid relationships in my life, and I just truly understand the power of relationships and the connections that you can have with an individual person, and it can start for one thing, but then you see another blessing and how it works out in another way. So I'm very thankful for those relationships. And while I may know a lot of people and a lot of people know me, I don't call everybody a friend, because you got associates, you got clients, you got partners and all that good stuff. And it's because I take the relationships that I have in my life very serious, right? Very serious. And I had someone call me the other day, something that they were going through, and a part of it involved a friend of theirs. And they were just kind of questioning some character stuff. And one of the questions that I asked her, I said, one thing I said, well, the fact that you're questioning this friendship, in this relationship, it speaks volumes, right? Because you're questioning, and I'm not going to go into what she was saying. And then another part was, I said, do you trust that if this person is around another person and that particular person is talking bad about you or doing something to intentionally make you feel some way or to hurt you, do you trust that person enough that they will put them in their place and stop them and say, wait a minute, what we're not going to do is this. You know what I mean? And she was like, I did, but I'm not really sure now. Right? So it just made me think about the relationships in my life. So I could be like, oh, my homegirl, my bestie, she would never, right? And I'm not even saying, she would never. Put it that way. She would never. And this is no shade to like her friends and stuff. It's just like when you really look at your relationships in your life and those red flags appear, you definitely want to believe those red flags. 100%. You want to, just believe those red flags. And being in this work that I do and being able to really see who people truly are versus, social media, the outside way that they portray themselves and all. It really made me, It really made me appreciate the relationships in my life a lot more because I see the disconnect between people and they're like, oh, this is my friend. And you see one thing on social media and then you hear something like else, like when you're like working with them. And again, no, judgment or no shame on the individual people. It just highlighted to me the relationships in my life and how grateful that I am for those relationships. Then I go back into like high school. I remember being like in high school and there's like some of these people I'm with don't like those people that they're with, but it never stopped me from being friends with everyone because they didn't do nothing to me, but also the people that I were around never judged me for still being cool with them. Now, if they did it behind my back or something, it was damn good because it never got back to me. But I remember like particularly like in lunchtime in high school, before I dropped out in high school, I would bounce to one table. I was sitting at one table with this group of people, and then I'd bounce and go to the next, table, and I'd kind of like hop around. Like basically I was spreading my energy around because there was this group of people who didn't really bang with this group of people. And I never got any slack for it because they knew that's just like how I was, right? That's just the type of person that I was. And even back then, like the relationships and the stuff that I had for, with my friends, even just in high school, I definitely value them and I appreciate them and I love the connection. And, of course, there's plenty of, goes your separate ways. But when, I'm looking and reflecting and just relationships in my life, I'm like, y'all all right with me. No, but even some of the relationships I've built with my clients, right? I love those too. Am I like super cool or talk to all of my clients? No, absolutely not. And the reason being is just because that relationship wasn't meant to develop into anything deeper. So I honor and I respect the ones that did. So when I reflect and I look now, it's in 2021, and I look at the relationship and look at all the people that I have met in the last 2 years. And then the ones that I've connected with on like a deeper level, it's like, dang, hello, abundance of relationships. I love it. I love it. And it's super cool because I'm helping guide people in a vulnerable state, right? They're in a vulnerable state and they are talking to me and expressing to me, their traumas and their fears and their worries and all of those things that I'm helping guiding them through and, changing their lives. And this is their words, right? And then I see like me fast forward, here's this new lane that I'm in and boom, I know exactly who to go to. And they're so eager and so sweet and just want to help me because I've helped guide them so much. And now they feel like they're able to give back to me. And I'm proud of myself for leaning in on that, those relationships because, if you've been listening to me a while, you've heard me talk about I'm a one-woman show. I don't need nobody. I'm going to keep it moving. I don't want to ask nobody for nothing, right? Because I feel like basically bottom line is I don't want to be rejected and feel some type of way. But, I'm proud of myself because I leaned in on that relationship and understood that these people wanted to help me just as much as I've helped them. And it's just so dope. And where this also came from of this reflection, I will share this at a later podcast episode because I need some things to finalize this first before I speak on them to everyone. But I'll definitely be filling you in. I'll refer back to this episode and tell you, remember when I was talking and I was dropping little things? Yeah, this is the follow-up to it. So yeah, I'm just loving the relationships and grateful for the relationships in my life. And I hope while I was talking about the relationships and the people and stuff, that it made you think about who in your life, like what are those relationships? Are you leaning in on those relationships? Are you really like looking at those relationships for like what they actually are? Or maybe you're even looking at your relationships, the relationships in your life, and you're like, man, this is a really one-sided thing. I don't know about this one. I'm putting a lot in over here and feeling empty on the other side. And then maybe you just need to, reevaluate that, or maybe you need to just love on your relationship. I don't know. This podcast episode is not even about relationships, so I just went on about that. But anyway, your turn. What are you guys grateful for? However, before we jump into that, let's get a little grounded and centered. Yes. All right. So unless you're driving, go ahead and close your eyes. And now I want you to take a nice deep breath, and we're just going to breathe in through our nose. And we're just going to let it out of our mouth. I'm just going to release all the tension that you may have been holding on to today or for a while. Just let it go. All right, take another nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose. And let it out your mouth. Let those shoulders drop. Loosen up. You don't have to be so tight. All right, last one. Unless you just want to continue rocking out with some deep breaths, be my guest. Take a nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose. and letting it out through your mouth. Yes, 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 yes. All right, what's up? What are you guys grateful for? You grateful for relationships in your life? Grateful for your life, your health, an abundance of knowledge. Man, speaking of that, the other day I was driving my daughter to work. The 16-year-old got her job. And she's super funny. She's like asking like all these questions and she's just like, yeah, I can't wait until, I start my business. And I don't push the entrepreneurship to my kids. I don't push them to anything. I just show them different ways and let them, go down their own path, right? I don't want it to be pushed and they feel like, oh, I have to do this because my mom says this, right? They're their own individual people. And I'm just here to help guide them, basically put the bumpers around them and make sure that they don't hurt themselves or they don't harm anyone else. But their journey is their journey. So like my 16-year-old, she's like talking about like entrepreneur and this brand that she started. And she's like, I'm working now, so I'll be able to fund my stuff. And I'm listening. I'm like, okay, girl, okay. Whose daughter is that? So she was talking to me and we started talking about credit. And I was explaining to her about credit, like how it works and, why it's important, in this world that we live in. And I was saying all this stuff and I realized how much knowledge I have now that I wish I had when I was 16. I wish somebody, talked to me about credit. I was pregnant at 16 and my very first credit card was a Texaco. And if any of you are familiar with it, it was a gas station. It was a gas station credit card. I remember going to the gas station and swiping that card, getting me some sodas, getting me some snacks. Like I was just having a good old time. And my second credit card was Capital One. And I was like, hello. I knew nothing about credit. All I knew was I had this card in my hand that I could go places and I could swipe it and I'd get something. That's all that I knew. I didn't know it calculates a score. I didn't know that it was an interest rate. And I didn't know that, I got to pay this when? I got to pay how much? What? So I learned the hard way. But through those experiences, I'm now able to share that with my daughter. We talked about stocks. We talked about, like with crypto, her brother, my son is, he's already talked to her about some of that stuff. So she was talking about that. She was like, I really don't want to put a lot of money like into like that. I really just want to, I put some into there, but I really want to do something, like with my business or my brand or get a vending machine. So we started talking about that. And it was the dopest conversation because I realized like how knowledgeable I am now, but this is all through experiences. So instead of me reflecting back and looking at like, man, I wish somebody would have told me this. And I wish I wouldn't be that victim and all that. I was actually excited for that experience that I had, not being knowledgeable and fucking up those painful experiences, right? Racking up the credit card like shit. Because fast forward, now I'm in a space that my daughter doesn't have to repeat that. My kids don't have to repeat that because I'm teaching them what I wish that I had. And that was very fulfilling. And that felt hella good. It was just, yeah. All right. So have you guys ever wished that you had a crystal ball? Be like, God, I just had a crystal ball. Just show me what's next. What's going to happen? I know that I did. So keep it real. Be honest. And I was on the phone with someone today and he said, my bestie's husband. He said, if you had how he said it? He was like, if you had a superpower, because we was talking about me being, with psychic intuitive, and he made like a joke. He said something, and I was like, oh, where? And he was like, you tell me. And I was like, oh my gosh, why do you guys do that? I was like, people do that with me even on Instagram. If I reply to something on like their story and they message me back, and then I'll be like, oh, like where do they live? They'd be like, you tell me. I'm like, guys, that's not how it works. I don't just be sitting here like, let me tune into you and no, that's not how it works. So we were cracking up and he said, if you had a superpower, you only have one superpower, what would that superpower be? I was like, that's a good question. I was like, I'm pretty sure somebody asked me that before. I don't know what I said. I said, I think it would be to know what's coming next, to see what's coming next. Like, my crystal ball. And he was like, I just got scared with you just saying that. And I was like, why? He was like, I don't know. I don't know. He was like, I don't know if I would want to know. He was like, what if we wake up one day and you just lay in there and you're able to see what comes next and you see that you're about to die or that's it for you today. I was like, oh, well then that's cool because then I know I could plan accordingly before it happened. He was like, oh shit, I didn't even think about it like that. I was like, I wasn't thinking about anything negative. I just wanted to be able to see. So if I know that I'm about to go left and I'm questioning my intuition, but I pull out that superpower, I know that if I go left, this is about to happen. So let me carry my ass, and go right. So we were just like joking and stuff. And I don't really know for real, if I could superpower, what would that actually be? I don't know. Right. So then it made me think about, I had a new client about a week ago, maybe, I don't know. And he said, excuse me, I really like to use a lot of analogies. So this is, he kept saying, so he was like giving me these analogies and he was like, I know I got a crystal ball. He just kept saying, I know I got a crystal ball. But when I get that crystal ball, it's real greasy. He said, it's like everybody in the house was just eating chicken and just put all this grease on my crystal ball. He's like, but I know I have one. He kept saying, but I know I have a crystal ball, but I can't see. And he was like, it's real greasy. So I said, then he like apologized. He's like, I just got to use the analogies and these examples. And I said, okay. Well, first off, since you know that you have a crystal ball, I'm going to need you to take that crystal ball back from everyone in your house. Let's start there. He was like, wow. I said, yeah, let's start there because you said it out your mouth. He said, I know I have a crystal ball. I know that I have it. He said it multiple times. I know that I have one. It's just like by the time I get it, it's like everybody in the house was just eating chicken and it's just grease all over. He was like, so it's foggy, it's greasy, and I can't see. I said, well, step number one, we're going to take that crystal ball back from everyone else. Let's do that, right? And I said, the reason why your crystal ball is greasy is because you're looking at it through the eyes of everybody else in your household. And he's married and he got little children and stuff. I said, so you're looking at it through their eyes. So when you're looking at it through everyone else's eyes, of course it's foggy and greasy. Of course. It's not your perspective. It's not your clarity. It's not your desires. It's not your wants. It's not your truth. It's someone else's. So of course it's greasy. He was just like, wow. He was like, you're right. Oh my God. He just kept saying like, you're right. So when you think about it, right? So to give a little bit more of that situation, like with him, is there's things that he wants to do for himself, but he's very concerned about being able to provide for the family. And if I take, this is his thoughts, if I take this time to myself and do the things that I want and my desires and have fun and go and meet some people, and just, he was like, just go meet some people and just, talk shit, just shoot that shit down. And I was like, I get it. He was like, but it's taken away from the family. So he's neglecting himself for his family. So this crystal ball that he knows that he has, that he knows that's gonna, guide him and show him the future and show him like the future. He said, I know that I have it, meaning that he knows that he has eyes and he knows that he has wants and desires, but it's greasy because he's seeing it through everybody in the house. And I want to say it was like 3 people, he said. So of course it's going to be super greasy. It's not even like it's a little bit. You can like, you can see it a little bit because you're just kind of looking through it through one person. You got 3 different people that you want to please and you want to take care of, and you're neglecting yourself. So as you're trying to look at this, and every time he wants to go and do something, so it's like he wants to go out. And as soon as he gets himself to go out, he instantly is seeing it from someone else's eyes because now that person has a problem with it. This person feels some type of way about something that you want to go do for yourself. Right? So really my question for you guys is, what does your crystal ball look like? And whose eyes are you seeing it through? And when I say that crystal ball, again, this crystal ball is like, you just imagine like a ball in front of you, you're just shaking it up and you could just see, what's ahead, right? You can see what's ahead. But when I say you can see what's ahead, because there is nothing that can predict the future, right? I mean, I think the closest that you're going to get is looking at your present moment and your choices that you're making right now. And that's what's going to shape the future. However, we don't know what's really fully guaranteed, right? Those of you who have been listening to me for a while and you've heard my story, and you know why I'm even here and have this thing called Seeing with Your Soul is because of the death of my best friend, Gloria. She died at 39. The week before she died, we were making plans for her to start her liquor brand. And she had me calling down in Virginia because I'm really close with a lot of the club owners, and I've been in that environment for quite a few years. So I know a lot of them and the actual owners and when they're ordering this and what this looked like and how do people spend money and all that good stuff. So she called me, asking me these questions, and they wanted me to do a little research and a little recon. That's a whole other story though. And that's what we were talking about. And we were getting those things in motion, for her to be able to do that and to be able to sell like this liquor to like my peoples here. That was a week before. So while we were working in the present moment on some things that would be shaping the future, a couple days later, she went to sleep and she didn't wake up. So we can't predict the future. We don't know. We can just make our moves in the present moment, right? So that crystal ball that we're looking at, and we want to look at that crystal ball, that's our ideas. That's our desires. That's our passions. That's our wants. That's what that crystal ball is. But when you get yourself ready and you're looking at this crystal ball and you're like, yeah, man, I'm ready to do that thing. I'm ready to travel. I'm really ready to travel. I know it's going to feel good. I've really been dreaming and thinking about this. I'm about to make this happen. Then all of a sudden something stops you in your tracks. And you're like, but what about my significant other? What are they going to think? Oh, they're not going to they don't even like to travel. Well, what about this? What about that? So then it gets real foggy and you can't even see yourself traveling because you're taking your crystal ball and you're looking at it through the eyes of someone else versus stepping and saying, this is what I want. This is what I want. So I thought that was super dope that he was giving that as it. And he was so adamant, and and the reason why I keep saying this over and over, because he kept saying it over and over, but I was feeling it through him, the energy, when he said, I know that there's a crystal ball. I know I have a crystal ball, aka I know I have desires. I know I have wants. I know I have things that I want to be passionate about. But it's greasy. It's greasy. So if you can relate to this, and this is making you feel like, damn, I can see my shit is foggy as well, or greasy, right? I like when he said greasy. It's like they were eating chicken and they were just rubbing their hands all over making greasy. I was like, this is so dope. I love this, right? But if this is relating to you, the first thing that I would say to you is what I said to this person. Take your crystal ball back from everyone that you gave it to. Everyone. I don't care if it's your significant other. I don't care if it's your kids. I don't care if it's your mommy or your daddy. I don't care if it's your business partner. I don't care if it's your homegirl, your homeboy. I don't care who it is. Your ideas, your thoughts, your wants, your desires, that's yours. That's for you. That is for you. And what is it that you want to do with that? How do you want to move forward? What do you want to create? And let's do that. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Seeing with Your Soul. If something you heard resonated with you, feel free to rate, review, and share with others. If you are looking to go deeper, you can connect with Tisha Michelle on Instagram at Mindset Slayer or visit www.healingalignedglow.com.